The Browns are back. But let's be real, Kody and Robyn's attempt to sell the happy family dream is starting to feel like a rerun nobody asked for. Everything about it feels staged, like they're trying to convince us they're okay while barely convincing themselves. The laughter? Forced. The smiles? Glued on. It's the kind of energy you get when you're trying too hard to prove something that isn't real. And right in the middle of this perfect family act comes Aurora Brown, the daughter who's been living in the shadow of her parents' overprotection. She's 22 at the time of filming, 24 now, and she drops the kind of news that should be totally normal. She's got a boyfriend. But in this family, a relationship announcement hits harder than a plot twist. Aurora's trying to step into adulthood, and you can feel how careful she is when she tells them. It's sweet, but it's also telling because Kody and Robyn don't see a grown woman sitting in front of them. They still see their little girl, the one they've kept under lock and key for years. You can literally feel them holding on, trying to freeze time. Like, if they don't acknowledge it, she won't grow up. And honestly, it's kind of sad. Aurora's there, doing something every young woman her age should be free to do, explore, love, learn, while her parents hover like she's about to make the biggest mistake of her life. The dynamic screams control and fear, not trust and growth. Kody and Robyn are still stuck in this illusion that if they keep their kids sheltered, they can somehow protect them from reality. But life doesn't work that way. At the end of the day, it's just another moment that shows how disconnected Kody and Robyn are from the world their kids actually live in. Everyone else has grown, evolved, and healed, while these two are still trying to edit life into a family photo that doesn't exist anymore. So, Robyn starts off doing her usual, soft, emotional thing, saying how Aurora's never really had a serious boyfriend before, just a few innocent high school crushes. But now, enter Brody. The guy, the myth, the brave soul who just walked into the Browns' emotional battlefield. Now, don't get me wrong, Brody actually seems like a nice guy. Chill, respectful, just trying to do the right thing. But honestly, I kind of feel bad for him. The poor guy walked straight into the lion's den without realizing the lion was wearing a denim jacket and called himself Dad. Because the second Kody laid eyes on Brody, you could literally see the tension building. That man wasn't welcoming his daughter's boyfriend. He was squaring up like it was a competition. It's like Kody forgot he's the father and thought he was auditioning to be the alpha of the room. Every look, every comment, every weird smile just screamed insecurity. And Brody? He's sitting there, doing his best to survive the world's most uncomfortable meet-the-parents moment. Robyn's trying to play peacekeeper, Aurora's glowing with that new relationship energy, and Kody's out here acting like he's about to lose territory. The whole scene gives off that same energy we've seen 100 times before, where Kody can't just be the supportive dad. He has to control, dominate, and prove something that no one asked him to prove. And instead of making this a sweet family moment, it ends up feeling heavy, awkward, and honestly kind of sad. Because under all that fake cheer, you can see what's really going on. A dad who doesn't know how to let go, a daughter trying to grow up, and a mom pretending that everything's totally fine when everyone can feel it isn't. What was even more telling was Kody's obsession with getting Robyn to be physically affectionate with him on camera. It almost felt like he was trying to prove something. The more I watched, the more it seemed like Kody couldn't handle the fact that Christine and David were so comfortable showing affection toward each other on camera, while he and Robyn seemed to struggle with it. Kody kept trying to convince himself that Robyn didn't show affection in front of the cameras because she was shy, but maybe there's more to it. What if Robyn just doesn't want to kiss him or be around him like that anymore? What if she's simply not as interested in him as she used to be? After all, this is the same woman who, years ago, had no problem kissing him on camera or being affectionate. In fact, Robyn herself once said that Kody's marriages suffered because he couldn't be affectionate with any of his wives. Now, with the opportunity to show affection openly, Robyn still holds back. I get the feeling that maybe, after all these years, Robyn is starting to grow tired of Kody. She might have been more into him 15 years ago, but things have clearly changed. The dynamic between them seems off, and it feels like their marriage is hanging by a thread. Kody, however, seems desperate to prove that Robyn still loves him. His efforts are pretty obvious, and it's clear that he's trying to convince everyone, including himself, that they're still happily married. But when it comes to the scene with Kody, Robyn, and Aurora talking about Aurora's new relationship, it's clear that there's a lot of drama bubbling under the surface. Things get even more uncomfortable when Brody comes over to spend Christmas with them. The tension is palpable, and the whole situation becomes even more dramatic as they try to navigate their relationships, both as a family and as a couple. This episode definitely shows how things are not as perfect as Kody and Robyn want everyone to think, and their struggles with affection and family dynamics are hard to ignore. In this awkward moment, Kody seems to be trying to convince everyone, especially himself, that his love for Robyn is something incredibly special, so unique, it's impossible for him to even imagine another man looking at a woman the way he looks at her. It's almost like he's trying to sell this idea of undying love, as though the decision to throw his life away for Robyn was a grand, romantic gesture. The way he speaks makes it seem like he's still desperately trying to prove something, but the reality is that his relationship with Robyn no longer feels the same. There's a noticeable awkwardness between them now, and it's clear that their dynamic has shifted. Kody seems to be making everything about himself and his feelings, while Robyn just appears uncomfortable with his over-the-top displays of affection. What the cameras don't show is how Aurora talks about her relationship with Brody. She explains how early on he looked at her with this intense, almost adoring gaze, which made her feel like things were moving very fast. That look left an impression on her, and she admitted it made her feel overwhelmed. Robyn, being cautious, suggests that Aurora shouldn't rush things and that they should take time to get to know each other. But Aurora reassures her that they are moving at a pace they're both comfortable with. She mentions how Brody is checking all the right boxes for her, and they've even been praying about their relationship. Aurora explains that they're both on the same page and are working towards the next step. Though they've only just started dating, she hints that Brody could eventually become her husband. Robyn, in her attempt to guide Aurora, brings up the idea of how things would have been different in a polygamous setup. She talks about how, in that culture, a man would have to ask Kody for permission to court his daughter, a practice that doesn't apply in their current situation. In their world now, Aurora doesn't need anyone's permission to be in a relationship. She never has, and yet Kody still seems to struggle with this idea. The awkwardness between him and Aurora is hard to ignore, especially considering his past views on relationships and polygamy. On one hand, Kody insists that he's completely out of the polygamous lifestyle, claiming to have left all that behind. But on the other hand, it's clear that the teachings and mindset from that culture are still deeply ingrained in him. His reactions show that he hasn't fully broken free from the influence of his past, and it creates this strange tension in the way he approaches his relationship with his daughter and her boyfriend. Overall, Kody and Robyn's interactions reveal a complicated mix of old habits, unresolved tension, and awkwardness that's difficult to ignore. It's like Kody is still trying to hold onto a version of their relationship that doesn't quite exist anymore, while Robyn, understandably, seems more distant. Their story continues to unfold with more discomfort and contradictions, showing that their relationship isn't as simple as it once seemed. Honestly, when Kody says things like that, it feels like he's just trying to cover up the fact that he found out about Aurora's relationship without being consulted or involved in the process. It's not exactly a new situation for him. If you look back, Mykelti was in a serious relationship and didn't tell Kody about it. The same thing happened with Mitch and Aspen. They were dating for a while before they even mentioned it to him. The same goes for Maddie and Caleb. So it's clear that Kody has never really had much control over who his daughters choose to date. He's always been pretty hands-off when it comes to their relationships, and this situation with Aurora is no different. Even though Kody tries to make it sound like Aurora should have asked him for permission, it's obvious she didn't, and he wasn't involved in her decision-making at all. But still, Kody finds a way to make things uncomfortable. It all gets even more awkward when Brody comes over, and they all try to trim the Christmas tree. But instead of doing it in the main area, they end up in the game room, and the tree is ridiculously small. It's such a weird moment, and Kody insists on discussing chastity with Brody, which just adds another layer of awkwardness to the situation. Keep in mind, both Aurora and Brody are 22 years old by this point, and they don't need Kody's permission to be in a relationship or make their own decisions. It's just a very uncomfortable and unnecessary conversation that makes everything feel even more strained. Even Robyn is starting to notice how much Kody is making Aurora's big moment all about himself, and she's not hiding her frustration. It's becoming pretty clear that Kody needs to be the center of attention at all costs. His behavior is over the top, and even Robyn seems a little annoyed by how much he's drawing focus away from Aurora's relationship. It's like Kody can't stand not being the main focus, even when it's supposed to be about his daughter. On a different note, I once made a post about a photo I came across of Aurora and Brody. In it, they were at a gun range, and I was curious about what kind of gun it was. I wasn't questioning why she had the gun, I was just genuinely interested. But almost immediately, people jumped to conclusions, assuming I was implying something negative about her having it. Brody himself actually responded in the comments, politely explaining that it was his gun, and he even shared details about what kind it was and where he got it. I appreciated how respectful he was. From what I've gathered, Brody seems like a genuine, down-to-earth guy. He's an avid outdoorsman, and I believe he owns a ranch in New Mexico. He's also involved with the military in some capacity, either in the National Guard or the Army. I saw pictures of him in his fatigues, and it looked like Aurora was with him while he was in uniform. From all the details I've seen, he comes across as a polite, responsible individual. After the whole situation with the post, I felt the need to apologize to him. Some people thought I was calling him out, but Brody took it in stride and was completely understanding. I even sent him a message to clarify, and he responded kindly, reassuring me that there were no hard feelings. Based on everything I've seen and experienced, I have no complaints about Brody. He seems like a genuinely good guy who cares about Aurora. Honestly, if anyone deserves happiness, it's the kids who've been tied to Robyn's side for so long. If Aurora can find some freedom and happiness with Brody, then I think that's great for her. At 22, she's an adult, and she deserves to live her life on her terms. I finally get what Kody means when he talks about Robyn being shy. What he really means is that Robyn isn't all over him physically, especially on camera. She's not constantly sitting on him, kissing him, or showering him with attention in front of everyone. Instead, she's shy about expressing physical affection toward him when the cameras are rolling. It's as if he suddenly expects Robyn to be all over him now that they're together, which makes me think he overestimated their relationship. He probably thought they had this passionate, movie-like love affair, but the reality is much different. In this particular episode, while Robyn is doing her best mom thing, focusing on Aurora, asking her about her new boyfriend, trying to make this milestone moment special, Kody's over there doing what Kody always does, hijacking the conversation. Every time Robyn tries to make it about her daughter, Kody swerves it right back to himself. It's like his ego has a GPS that only recognizes one destination, center of attention, USA. You can literally see it on his face. Aurora's talking about her new boyfriend, everyone's smiling, and Kody's just twitching. Like he can't stand that for once the spotlight isn't burning directly on him. The man's addicted to being the emotional nucleus of every situation. If it's not about him, he'll make it about him. And poor Robyn, yes, I said it, even though she looks like she's walking on eggshells, trying to redirect the vibe while Kody's over here monologuing like he's giving a TED talk on fatherhood and fragile egos. It's giving I'm the main character of your relationship too energy, and honestly, it's exhausting to watch. The guy can't stand emotional distance. He needs constant validation. It's like, sir, your daughter is having a sweet life moment. Maybe let her have this one without you auditioning for Dad of the Year in the background. And let's not forget, Robyn once said the other wives basically handed him to her. Like, here, you deal with this. And honestly, can you blame them? Because after watching this episode, that line hit harder than ever. Kody isn't a husband or a dad in these moments, he's a man-child who needs to be worshipped. You can almost feel Robyn realizing it too, like that "oh no, what have I signed up for?" stare she gets every time Kody spirals into one of his self-centered tangents. And truly, besties, if I had to deal with that every day, the constant interruptions, the me monologues, the dramatic sighs, I'd be handing him off too, wrapped up in a bow. With a return policy. For example, in one scene, Kody points out the mistletoe and says he wants a kiss. Robyn's response? No, that's not mistletoe. It's clear she's not in the mood to play along with his demands. And yet, he keeps pushing for it, wanting to make everything look picture perfect. He wants her to be physically affectionate with him, even in the most mundane moments, and it just feels forced. If you have to force affection to make it seem like a physical relationship is there, maybe it's not. It's almost as if Kody's trying to mimic the kind of love affair that Christine and David have, which seems like an attempt to compensate for the lack of genuine affection with Robyn. Then there's this really awkward moment involving Aurora, a pocket knife, and a story that doesn't quite add up. Aurora mentions that Brody gave her the knife because she had overly protective parents who were worried about her relationship with him. The whole story feels a bit off. Aurora says that Brody told her she could use the knife on him if she ever needed to. which just made the conversation even more uncomfortable. There wasn't enough context to fully understand what was going on, but somehow Kody tries to turn this knife conversation into a talk about chastity, which only made the whole situation even more awkward. It felt forced, uncomfortable, and out of place at that moment. Kody, never one to hold back, decides to bring up a sensitive topic right in front of his other kids. He wants to talk openly about whether Brody is sleeping with his daughter. Kody tells Brody to protect himself from her, basically warning him with words like, "You're not going to have sex with my daughter." Brody looks confused and does not understand what Kody means. The speaker feels sorry for Brody because Kody often talks in a confusing way, and no one expects Brody to figure out Kody's unclear messages. Then there's this remark about kissing another man's wife, but that idea does not even come from Kody himself. It comes straight from the teachings of their group, the EUB. In lessons about staying pure, members learn strict rules. They must not kiss another man's wife, and they must not have sex with another man's wife. The main point is that a woman should not be touched at all until she gets married. If a man dares to touch a woman who belongs to another man, he has betrayed that man and destroyed her purity for her future husband or her current one. So, everyone is supposed to follow these rules carefully. In reality, inside this, group leaders use this idea to stop young men from kissing girls who are being prepared to become extra wives for older men. The older men get upset when young guys kiss these girls, calling it kissing another man's wife. It is a disturbing practice. The speaker has listened to recordings and seen videos where leaders explain this rule clearly, saying things like, "You are not supposed to kiss another man's wife." Youth leaders in the group have said it directly to the young people, scolding them with words like, "You guys should not be kissing other men's wives." Kody continues to use this exact kind of language even now. This shows that he has not fully escaped the deep influence of the group's teachings. He still carries that way of thinking, whether he fully agrees with it or not. This whole conversation is incredibly awkward. In the real world, I don't know many dads who would act like this when they're hanging out with their daughter's boyfriend. It's just not normal or appropriate to have a conversation about sex in front of your other children, let alone on camera. But of course, Kody seems determined to make a spectacle out of this situation. It almost feels like he wants to show everyone that he's having the talk with his two-year-old daughter and her boyfriend. It's uncomfortable, and it just doesn't feel right. I honestly feel for Brody, who's just trying to stay calm and handle it as best as he can. He really seems like a good guy, but I think he's in for a lot more than he bargained for. One thing that really stands out to me is Kody's comment about treating Aurora well for another man. It's a phrase that keeps creeping me out because I know it's rooted in the teachings from the cult. It's like Kody's trying to imply that another man might marry Aurora, and that Brody has to be careful to treat her with respect so she can remain pure. It's disturbing because it feels like he's preparing her for the idea that her purity is something that has to be protected for someone else. I get that he's trying to be a protective father, but the whole thing just feels off. The reality is that Aurora has likely kissed boys before, and she's probably had experiences with guys in the past. So, it's not like this is the first time she's going to be affectionate with someone. It all just feels like Kody is trying to prove something on camera to show that he's a concerned dad, but it ends up coming across as overbearing and unnecessary. Then, there's the way Kody reacts anytime Brody says something kind or sweet to Aurora. Whenever Brody expresses affection, Kody feels the need to compete with him. For example, when Brody says, "Yes, I'd love to spend a special time with my special lady. It's a sweet and genuine moment." But what does Kody do? He immediately interrupts and says, "What about me, mama?" It's like Kody can't stand the idea of not being the center of attention. Even in these moments of tenderness between Brody and Aurora, it's as if he's trying to prove something or maintain control over the situation, even though it's clearly not about him. He just can't seem to let Brody have the moment with Aurora without inserting himself into the picture. The whole scene is full of awkwardness, tension, and a sense that Kody is overcompensating for something. It's clear that he feels threatened by the idea of Brody being close to his daughter, but instead of handling it in a more mature way, he makes everything about himself. This dynamic between Kody, Brody, and Aurora is really uncomfortable to watch, and it only highlights the bigger issues in their relationship. Kody seems unable to let go of his need for control and validation, and it creates an atmosphere where Brody can't even have a moment with Aurora without Kody trying to insert himself. It's not healthy, and it makes the whole situation even more awkward. Robyn literally exposed Kody in this moment when she said that anytime Kody sees someone else being romantic, he feels the need to be romantic with her. She claims it's because Kody is romantic, but honestly, I have to disagree with that. To me, it seems like a classic example of narcissism. When Kody sees couples like Brody and Aurora being affectionate and sweet, he can't stand it. He immediately wants the attention back on him. It's like he wants to prove that his relationship with Robyn is the best, the most important, and the most special. He wants everyone to think, no, look at me and Robyn. Our love is just as strong as theirs, even if that's far from reality. It's not about being romantic. It's about Kody needing to be the center of attention. He can't allow other people, especially other couples, to have a moment without hijacking it for himself. He's the type of person who would ask, "Oh, mommy, is this what we're gonna do?" whenever there's any kind of affectionate moment. It's almost like he's trying to take over the moment to make sure everyone knows that his relationship with Robyn is better, even though it's clear that it's not. He wants to present a picture of their love that matches the romance of Christine and David's relationship, or the new sweet bond between Brody and Aurora. Even though he and Robyn are far from that, Kody is desperate to show that their relationship is just as perfect and affectionate. To me, this behavior seems like Kody is trying to get the same level of validation from Robyn that he sees other people getting. He's begging for her attention and affection in a way that comes off as almost childish. It's not genuine romance, it's more about seeking praise and attention. He wants Robyn to constantly remind him that their relationship is special, just like Christine and David's, but he's not willing to accept the reality that maybe it isn't. It's ridiculous that he behaves like this. Instead of allowing Aurora and Brody to have their sweet moments, he has to take over every time to remind everyone that he and Robyn love each other, that their relationship is still strong. But the more he forces these displays, the more obvious it becomes that he's trying to prove something rather than genuinely feel it. What I saw in this episode was the truth. Kody and Robyn do not have that kind of love. If anything, it's clear that Robyn doesn't feel the same way about Kody anymore. She doesn't seem to have that romantic connection with him at all. In fact, it looks like Robyn is over Kody. She's probably tired of the constant need for validation and the awkwardness of his behavior. Kody seems so desperate for attention, so desperate for validation from Robyn, and it's painfully obvious that Robyn is not reciprocating those feelings. The forced affection and his need to compete with every romantic moment only highlight the fact that their relationship is far from what he's trying to make it out to be. The love he desperately wants to show off just isn't there, and it seems like he's the only one who hasn't noticed it yet. So, that episode of Kody and Robyn was something, wasn't it? Honestly, I felt bad for Aurora and Brody. What should have been a nice, simple moment for them quickly turned into an episode that was all about Kody. Once again, it was Kody pushing his own narrative, demanding attention, and failing to respect any boundaries when it came to Robyn. It's clear that Robyn doesn't really find Kody all that attractive anymore. She's constantly trying to brush off his attention and affection, and every time he makes a move, she's rebuffing it. Kody claims it's because she's not used to being in a monogamous relationship after her time as a sister wife, but I'm not buying it. If Robyn were comfortable in her relationship with Kody, she'd have no problem accepting his affection. She wouldn't care about the cameras or feeling like she's too exposed, she'd be in it. But instead, it's obvious that she's not really that into him. And here's where Kody's behavior gets even more strange. He wants Robyn to be all over him, constantly showing affection. But why? My guess is it's because he's a narcissist. He craves validation and attention, and if he can't get it from Robyn willingly, he forces it, trying to prove that their relationship is as strong as other couples like Christine and David or even Aurora and Brody. It's like he needs Robyn to constantly affirm that their relationship is the best one, to convince everyone and himself that their love is pure and unbreakable. But it's getting pretty clear that this isn't the case. It's not genuine affection. It's Kody trying to prove something to the world and more so to himself. At this point, it feels like Robyn might be having some kind of buyer's remorse. She's in a relationship with Kody, but I think she's starting to question whether this is really what she signed up for. Kody threw his whole life away to be with her, and now, watching how desperate he is for affection and validation, it seems like Robyn is having second thoughts. It's almost as if she's looking at him and wondering why she chose this. And Kody, of course, is too wrapped up in his own need for attention to notice or care about her growing discomfort. Robyn's comments about Kody's behavior make it clear that this relationship is not as healthy as it's being portrayed. She exposes Kody for competing with basically anyone who shows affection, not just Brody and Aurora, but with any couple that comes across their path. It's like Kody is unable to allow any other romantic connection to take precedence, even for a moment. If he sees someone else being affectionate, he's immediately trying to redirect that attention back to himself and Robyn. He just can't stand not being the center of attention, and it's starting to show in the way he handles these situations. It's not just awkward, it's uncomfortable to watch. Kody's need for constant validation and his attempts to prove that his relationship with Robyn is perfect only serve to make everything more strained. At this point, it's clear to anyone watching that Robyn is not as invested as Kody is, and her reluctance to engage with him affectionately speaks volumes. The more Kody pushes, the more it seems like he's trying to force something that isn't there, and in doing so, he's only exposing the cracks in their relationship. So that was the episode with Kody and Robyn. It's a clear picture of Kody's awkward, attention-seeking behavior and Robyn's growing discomfort. But what do you think? Do you agree with how this situation is playing out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.